y'all hear me? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, cool. Okay. The hex. I should have known that we were cursed from the very beginning. I'd come down with a relentless, splitting headache on the afternoon of our first planned date and had to cancel. A warning of sorts. My date had thought that I'd invented an excuse not to meet, but it was the truth. I'd felt unwell. The following weekend, we decided to try again. We both insisted on persevering, it seemed. On the evening of our fifth date, I had parked my car in the driveway of the old, rat-infested, dilapidated house my date rented in the outskirts of Midtown, and we took his car to a show. When we returned to his lair to make out, I found a large dent in my car's rear bumper. This is a real aggravation to me. They insinuated that they knew who might have been the culprit of this act, but they refused to tell me who it was that they thought it was. Another foreboding sign, yet we decided to make out anyways late into the night. They asked me to stay the night, but I insisted on returning home. I didn't have my pajamas or my toothbrush with me, was my explanation this time, and they laughed so much at this silly excuse, but it was the truth. I finally left them and the rats, with reluctance, to return home to my beloved cat and bed, or so I thought. My townhome, which sat at the very back of a lot of 10 units, and is 2 rows of 5, and each unit facing another. It could be a parking nightmare at times, but other than that, my neighbors and I felt safe in our little community here in the heart of Montrose. I'd lived there for 5 years and had always felt comfortable there. So as I pulled up to the garage, nothing felt unusual about the night, aside from the late hours, about 1:30 a.m. And I clicked my garage door opener, but the door refused to budge. And I sat there for several seconds, incessantly clicking the button as I grew more irritated with each passing click. And after a minute or so, I resorted to climbing out of my running vehicle and clicking the stupid fucking clicker as I touched it directly to the receiver on the door. Talk to each other is what I planned on yelling at the both of them. And of course, they would heed my demands this way, but it didn't quite come to that. Just as my garage door began to ascend, I heard a low voice coming from behind me. I spun around in surprise to find a man slowly walking towards me and mumbling. His eyes bored directly into mine as my mind struggled to comprehend what he was doing there until I looked down to where his hands were. To my absolute horror, one of his hands was wrapped around the shaft of his stiff, raging cock as he vigorously jerked it, while the other hand struggled to hold up his pants above his knees. My open and running car and my now fully open garage door graciously welcomed him in. I assessed my options with every jerk of his hand. The man did not appear to look homeless or particularly drunk. 1 second. He wore a decent pair of workman's boots and black jeans. 2 seconds now passed. No, this man seemed calculating. 3 seconds. He would have had to watch me fiddle with the garage door for at least a minute before making his way to the very back of the driveway with no back exit. 4, 5 seconds now gone. He was not expecting to leave soon. A momentary vision of my raped and murdered corpse sprawled on the floor of my closed garage as my cat cried from inside my house flashed before my eyes. 6 seconds. My time was up. I had to make my move. What can male calculation never calculate for? I asked myself. Absolute female insanity, of course. Something within my depths was summoned. Instead of backing away, getting back in my car, running into the garage, I began walking towards the jerker. To my right was a small square patch of soil which held like a crepe myrtle tree and which blocked the steps to my front door. But my front door wasn't where I was headed. In the grass, at the base of the tree, was a large conch shell which had been left by the previous owners. This will have to do, I thought as I picked it up off the muddy ground and I raised it over my head. I was morphing into something, a creature, a monster, something I always knew lurked within me, a demon. Stay the fuck away from me, I screamed simultaneously as loudly and as gutturally as I could, as this demonic voice tore out of me. I was now only a few feet away from the jerker. I will fucking kill you, you stupid bitch! I shrieked as I lurched towards him with a level of rage I had never experienced before. The spindles of the conch shell pointed downward as I planned to crack this bitch over the head, splitting his skull like a coconut and eating the flesh for my late night supper. Lips curled, strings of spit slithering down my jaws. The jerker paused his jerking. Now it was his turn for some quick decision making. His weapon of choice, now much less hard than mine. I guess he decided against the chances of his own mutilation and potential death, and so began to back away from my fast approach, tripping on the cuffs of his pants legs with every other step. Once he had gained enough space between us, he turned and ran as fast as his little legs could carry him. Back from whence he had come, he scurried into the darkness of the night, tripping and pulling his pants up as he went. That's right, stupid bitch, you run, I boomed. If I see you here again, you're a dead, stupid little bitch. I have no doubt in my mind that I would have killed that man then and there if he hadn't fled when he had. That is the truth. 2 months later, my date-turned lover and I were in the throes of eroticism late one afternoon when I heard an incessant tapping. The second round of tapping caused him to pause because he heard it too. By the third round, we gave up on our ecstatic engagement and went to look for the culprit of our interruption. I determined that it was coming from the bathroom. We paused to listen, and it came again. A vigorous tapping on the skylight directly above the bathtub. It was too dark to see a figure, but we could just make out a hand. Frustrated, my lover climbed up on the bathtub ledge to tap a return, and they tapped again. What is this, Morse code? I asked. No one replied. I thought about the jerk off and screamed, "Fuck off!" as loud as I possibly could, and the tapping stopped. Over the months and the years, long after my lover and I had broken it off, the stalker creeped closer and closer. One afternoon, after a long shower, I heard my cat meowing at the bottom of the staircase. I walked out onto the landing, still wrapped in a bath towel and my hair dripping, to find half of the pull cord of the window blind draped around her. She appeared to be otherwise fine, with no blood or injuries on her body that I could find. And so I went back to inspect the blinds. There I found that the cord had been cut from the very middle. Certainly not something that my tiny house cat would be capable of. The stalker had become an intruder. From then on, once a week or month or two, I would return from work or school, and something in my home would be amiss. Slashes of my clothing, a book turned over, or something missing, or spilled, or left in the wrong place. Always things that my house cat couldn't accomplish. What with her lack of opposable thumbs and teensy size and little strength. What did they want from me exactly? This, I asked myself countless times, but the answer was always the same. just a nagging, irritating, fear-inducing curse, just a miserable hex? Was it perhaps the punishment for loving my lover? Had my lover known my stalker? It remains as unclear to me now as it did when this story began. And please, I do not care to know the answer. All that I know now, and what I've always suspected, is that I have an entity which dwells inside of me. What I mean is that they are not afraid of dying in battle, but there most certainly will be a battle. And therefore, they are never, ever to be fucked with. And that is the truth. Thank you.